Humans are naturally curious, and here in Canada, exploration is an important part of our national identity. Canadian explorer Garry Tutte was a content producer and director for 2 months aboard the Canada C3 expedition. The ship sailed 23,000 kilometers from Toronto to Victoria to mark the 150th anniversary of Confederation.
I would say if there was one word to sum up the expedition, it was epic. There were just so many great stories.
Here is his story.
I came on board originally to get involved as the drone and sort of tech role, but very quickly realized that there was an opportunity to move into more of the producing and directing role. We sort of had a motto, which was flexibility is the key, because ultimately, as we went, ice patterns would change where we could get access to. So maybe somewhere we were supposed to visit, we weren't able to get access to simply because of the volume of ice.
Over the 150-day journey, the team streamed live on their Facebook page 93 times, captured over 6,000 photos, and produced 120 mini-documentary videos, all in an effort to engage Canadians in discussion concerning the expedition's 4 key themes: diversity and inclusion, reconciliation, youth engagement, and the environment.
So we'd start to form a plan for every leg, but really it was almost on a leg-by-leg basis that we would develop the content and develop the stories. On one of the legs, we were up in Nunavut and we came across an island called Sutton Island. But on that leg, we also had a gentleman named Roger who was joining us, and Roger was an Arctic Ranger from the area. The look on his face arriving at Sutton Island was, he was showing a lot of emotion. And we talked to Roger and asked, Roger, what's up, what's going on? And he said, well, when I was 6 years old, I was coming across the water with my brother, and we got shipwrecked on this island. And he basically told us a story that they were shipwrecked on the island for a total of 3 months, him and his brothers. They hunted and fished and lived on the island awaiting rescue, and it wasn't until 3 months later that the water around the island had frozen over, and their father actually ended up coming across by dog sled and finding them and rescuing them. And it was just, and so Roger was back here on Sutton Island for the first time since then. One of the things we always talked about on this expedition was that it was an expedition. It wasn't a cruise. We weren't on a cruise ship, right? And so everyone that was aboard the ship was a participant, and they were actively involved in some way. So it was a very intense working environment. Now, amidst all of that, when the Northern Lights come out in the middle of the night and you get a chance to take a breath and see them, that's enough to keep you going for another 2 weeks. One of the most profound moments on the expedition was a lot of the communities that we visited on the East Coast, and hearing a lot of the Indigenous stories firsthand about residential schools and about the relocations of entire communities. To have those conversations firsthand and just see how it really affected an entire generation, and that really changed my thinking and changed how I'm moving forward in terms of viewing Canada and the kind of Canada that I want to work on and creating and living in. I think the biggest takeaway for me was just how ununified a country we are. I really think this idea of reconciliation and making changes that include us as a unified country, North and South, is critical for Canada to move forward.